Hey everybody, it's Holly. Welcome to part 9 of the Student Hat. Hopefully there should only be a few parts left. This one, maybe a part 10 and possibly a part 11. Let's get started. On the HCO policy letter of the 12th of October 1966, issue 4, called Examinations. A student must not discuss any examination with anyone outside the qual div. To give examination information to other students in order to assist them shows a misguided understanding of help. No, it's your definition of misguided. A student should pass an examination on the basis that he does know and can apply the data, not on the basis that he knows and can pass the examination. Sounds fair. Only by being able to know and apply the data can a student be an accomplished auditor at any level. Therefore, students are not to discuss examinations with other students for whatever reason. People are going to do it anyway. You're not going to stop them. Further, students who fail examinations or any question thereon are not to discuss such failure or reasons for such with anyone other than the personnel of the qual div. This regulation includes not only other students, but the course supervisor. Data as to examination failures is supplied from the qual div to the tech div, and a student not knowing the data sufficiently well can cause dev T, which is developed traffic, extra paperwork, by reporting false data to a course supervisor as to why the examination was failed. Any student who feels that he's been incorrectly failed on an examination can report the matter to ethics. This is the proper line for any complaint the student may have concerning an examination, if such still seems incorrect after taking it up with the qual div. So, that was quick. It was about don't discuss your examinations. Talk to the qual div. Alright, we got Ethics and Study Tech. The HCO Policy Letter of the 4th of April, 1972, Issue 3, revised the 21st of June, 1975. This is important. This cancels the issue revised 7th of April, 72. The basic why, the basic reason, of the majority of cases of post-non-performance of a staff member and out-tech in an org stems from misunderstood words. Here we go with the misunderstood words again. So, supposedly, if you're not doing well on post, and there's out tech, it's because of misunderstood words. The primary point that has to be gotten in is study tech. This is also our bridge to society. Yet study tech is the tech that includes misunderstood word tech. Thus, if study tech is not in, people on staff see nothing wrong with hearing or reading orders containing words they don't understand and have no urge to look them up. Further, they often feel they do know words that they in fact do not know. When this situation exists, it's next to impossible to get study tech and word clearing tech in. For example, the orders seeking to get in study tech may contain words the person does not understand. Thus, he doesn't really comply with the orders, and study tech does not get in. Thus, the ability to hear or read and understand continues to be missing. Therefore, these ethics actions become part of standard ethics. Person may be summoned to a court of ethics or executive court of ethics if it's found that he's gone past a word he doesn't understand when receiving, hearing, or reading an order, HCOB, policy letter, or tape, any and all LRH written printed materials, including books, PABs, dispatches, telexes, and Mimeo issues, which resulted in a failure to do duties of his post without his at once making an effective effort to clear the words on himself, whether he knew he was missing them or not, as the source of his inaction or damaging actions. Whether he knew he was missing them or not. So that's basically saying you don't know anything. Always word clear. You're always going to be telling yourself the word clear. The charge is neglecting to clarify words not understood. This is a this is an ethics thing. This is a charge. It's not that serious. A staff member who does not use study tech or get it known while studying or instructing may be summoned to a court of ethics or an executive court of ethics. The charge is failure to employ study tech. 3. A student altruising or misadvising others on the use of study tech may be summoned before a court of ethics. The charge is advocating a misuse or neglect of proper study tech. An auditor failing to clear each and every word of every command or list used may be summoned before a court of ethics. The charge is out tech. Any public division person, staff member, or Scientologist found using terms, circumstances, or data on raw public, in public lectures or promotion, or in PR, beyond the public ability to grasp without stressing study tech, or at once taking effective measures to clarify or releasing materials broadly to a wrong public, may be summoned to a court of ethics if any flap or upset results. The charge is failure to apply study tech in dissemination. Run-on sentences. Again, you guys need to break this shit up. No wonder people are not getting shit half the time, is because you make it overly complicated. Suppressive. Okay, so we're going to talk about suppressive people. Furthermore, as study tech is our primary bridge to society and the basic prevention of out tech and out admin, if any offenses above found guilty in a court of ethics is repeated and the person has had 2 such courts on this offense, the person may be summoned before a ComEv on a charge of committing an act or omission undertaken to knowingly suppress, reduce, or impede Scientology or Scientologists, and if found guilty beyond reasonable doubt, may be declared a suppressive person and expelled with full penalties. So if you do any of these twice, suppressive. Axiom 28. Failures to teach or use study tech or alterations of study tech are actually offenses against Axiom 28, as it's implied internally in an org on admin and tech, and from the org to society. Study tech, including its technology of word clearing, is in fact the technology of Axiom 28. The axiom amended as follows. Axiom 28. Communication is the consideration and action of impelling an impulse or particle from source point across a distance to receipt point with the intention of bringing into being at the receipt point a duplication and understanding of that which emanated from the source point. Alright, we're going to do this. We're going to actually look up the definition of communication. The imparting or exchanging of information or news. Means of sending or receiving information such as phone lines or computers. Why Hubbard makes this so complicated and changes language? He doesn't need to, but it is a very common cult tactic to redefine words so people go under your umbrella of shit. The formula of communication is cause, distance, effect with intention, attention, and duplication with understanding. So you got cause. So they're going to be person A, person B. Cause, the distance, effect with intention, what they plan to do, attention, and duplication with understanding. The component parts of communication are consideration, intention, attention, cause, source point, distance, effect, receipt point, duplication, understanding, the velocity of the impulse or particle, nothingness, or somethingness. I've never heard him use somethingness before. A non-communication consists of barriers. Barriers consist of space, interpositions such as walls and screens of fast-moving particles, and time. A communication by definition does not need to be two-way. When a communication is returned, the formula is repeated with the receipt point now becoming a source point and the former source point now becoming a receipt point. Why he needs to say receipt point and source point, I don't know. It doesn't need all this complex shit. Such as walls and screens of fast-moving particles. Alright, what is a screen of fast-moving particles? Because that just reminds me of like a projector screen. Alright, let's go to the next one. Oh, this doesn't even... Oh, no, it does have a title. Oh, it's KSW. I am not going over KSW again. We've done this already. Let's skip that and go to... Alright, I'll reread technical degrades because it's short. So this is the HCO policy letter of the 17th of June, 1970, revised the 9th of April, 1977. This policy letter must be made part of every study pack as the first items and must be listed on check sheets. Any check sheet in use or in stock which carries on it any degrading statement must be destroyed and issued without qualifying statements. Example, level 0 to 4 check sheets, St. Hill, carry A, background material. This section is included as a historical background but has much interest and value to the student. Most of the processes are no longer used, having been replaced by more modern technology. The student's only required to read this material and ensure he leaves no misunderstood. This heading covers such vital things as training routines. Op pro by dupe. The statement is a falsehood. I don't know what op pro by dupe is, but I'm going to look it up anyway. Okay, Hubbard, what do you got for us this time? Exact procedure, seccheck.wordpress.com. Wait, what? Opening procedure by duplication references? Uses two dissimilar objects, such as a book and a bottle. Oh, this is that thing. Person walk over to each object, pick it up, examine it as to the color, temperature, and weight, and return it exactly to where it was. Cool. Got it. 24 and a half hours on Op Pro by dupe. A success story. Oh, God. Yeah, this person couldn't stop doing it until they wrote a success story. Oh, this is Jesse Prince. Pretty sure he's... No. Is he dead now? Either way, I don't know. So these are other people doing their Op Pro by dupes. So imagine being in a room, get a water bottle, and say this is a book. So now they go over to the water bottle, pick it up, look at its color, feel the weight, feel the temperature, put it back down, go to the book, pick it up, color, weight, temperature, same shit. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's going to drive someone mad. And it's on the survival rundown. The nickname is Book and Bottle. Okay. Jesse Prince described it? Okay, so I'm assuming... Wait, this is an email. At lisatrust.net. That was Lisa McPherson's trust. Okay, so this is him writing after he leaves. Alright. These check sheets were not approved by myself. All of the material of the Academy and St. Hill courses is in use. Such actions as this gave us quickie grades. ARC broke the field and downgraded the Academy and St. Hill courses. A condition of treason or cancellation of certificates or dismissal and a full investigation of the background of any person found guilty will be activated in the case of anyone committing the following high crimes. Abbreviating an official course in Dianetics and Scientology so as to lose the full theory, processes, and effectiveness of the subjects. Adding comments to check sheets or instructions labeling any material background or not used now or old, or any similar action which will result in the student not knowing, using, and applying the data in which he's being trained. 3. Employing, after the 1st of September 1970, any check sheet for any course not authorized by myself, and I'm assuming that means Sea Org Organizing Bureau flag. Failing to strike from any check sheet remaining in use meanwhile any such comments as historical, background, not used, old, etc., or verbally stating it to students. Permitting a PC to attest to more than one grade at a time on the PC's own determinism without hint or evaluation. Running only one process for a lower grade between 0 to 4 where the grade and phenomena has not been attained. Running only one process for a lower grade between 0 to 4 where the grade EP has not been attained. Does that mean that the entire grade for you is one process? I don't know. Failing to use all processes for a level where the end phenomena has not been attained. Boasting as to speed of delivery in a session, such as I put in grade 0 in 3 minutes, etc. Shortening time of application of auditing for financial or labor-saving considerations. Acting in any way, again, quickie. Acting in any way calculated to lose the technology of Dianetics and Scientology, to use or impede its use or shorten its materials or its application. Reason. The effort to get students through courses and get PCs processed in orgs was considered best handled by reducing materials or deleting processes from grades. The pressure exerted to speed up student completions and auditing completions was mistakenly answered by just not delivering. The effort to get students through courses and get PCs processed in orgs was considered best handled by reducing materials or deleting processes from grades. So they thought it was the best thing to do by doing these things. The pressure exerted to speed up student completions and auditing completions was mistakenly answered by just not delivering. Okay, So there was pressure to speed up completions, and they did that by cutting materials, and deleting processes. The correct way to speed up a student's progress is by using two-way comm and applying the study materials to students. The best way to really handle PCs is to ensure they make each level fully before going on to the next and repairing them when they don't. The puzzle of the decline of the entire Scientology network in the late 60s is entirely answered by the actions taken to shorten time in study and in processing by deleting materials and actions. So, we wondered about why there was a decline in the late 60s. It's answered by the fact that they took time to shorten time in study and processing by deleting materials and actions. Reinstituting full use and delivery of Dianetics in Scientology is the answer to any recovery. The product of an org is well-taught students and thoroughly audited PCs. When the product vanishes, so does the org. The orgs must survive for the sake of this planet. Alright, safeguarding tech. I'm pretty sure we read that in the KSW series, but we will read it again. This is the HCO policy letter of the 14th of February 1965. This was reissued on 7th of June 67 with the word instructor replaced by supervisor. Safeguarding technology. For some years we've had a word, squirreling. It means altering Scientology, offbeat practices. It's a bad thing. I found a way to explain why. Scientology is a workable system. No, it's not. This does not mean it's the best possible system or a perfect system. You say that, but the church thinks it's the best possible system and they think it's perfect. That's why you don't change Hubbard materials. Remember and use that definition. Scientology is a workable system. In 50,000 years of history on this planet alone, man never evolved a workable system. Bullshit. It's doubtful if, in foreseeable history, he will ever evolve another. No, he's going to. He's going to evolve one that's better than yours. Man is caught in a huge and complex labyrinth. To get out of it requires that he follow the closely taped path of Scientology. Scientology will take him out of the labyrinth, but only if he follows the exact markings in the tunnels. It's taken me a third of a century in this lifetime to tape this route out. It's been proven that efforts by man to find different routes came to nothing. Bull. People have found many different routes, and they get success from them. It's also a clear fact that the route called Scientology does lead out of the labyrinth. Actually, it puts you in the labyrinth pretty deep. Therefore, it's a workable system and a route that can be traveled. What would you think of a guide who, because his party said it was dark and the road rough, and who said another tunnel looked better, abandoned the route he knew would lead out and led his party to a lost nowhere in the dark? You'd think he was a pretty wishy-washy guide. What would you think of a supervisor who let a student depart from procedure the supervisor knew worked? You'd think he was a pretty wishy-washy supervisor. What would happen in a labyrinth if the guide let some girl stop in a pretty canyon and left her there forever to contemplate the rocks? You'd think he was a pretty heartless guide. You'd expect him to say at least, "Miss, these rocks may be pretty, but the road out doesn't go that way." Alright, how about an auditor who abandons the procedure which will make his pre-clear eventually clear just because the pre-clear had a cognition? People have following. That's not grammatically correct. Looks like you need the Key to Life course. People have followed the route mixed up with the right to have their own ideas. Anyone is certainly entitled to have opinions and ideas and cognitions, so long as these do not bar the route out for self and others. Scientology is a workable system. It white tapes the road out of the labyrinth, and if there were no white tapes marking the right tunnels, man would just go on wandering around and around the way he has for eons, starting off on wrong roads, going in circles, ending up in the sticky dark alone. Eventually someone's going to find that path. Doesn't mean Scientology marked it. Scientology, exactly and correctly followed, takes the person up and out of the mess. So when you see somebody having a ball getting everyone to take peyote because it re-stimulates prenatals, re-stimulates engrams, which, if you don't know what that is, please watch my podcast with Ronan from the Holden Official channel. I have 2 of them on my channel and did a better job of explaining what re-stimulation is in the second one. Prenatals are engrams that happened while you were still in the womb. Because it re-stimulates prenatals knowing he's pulling people off the route. Realize he's swirling. He isn't following the route. Scientology is a new thing. It's a road out. There has not been one. Not all the salesmanship in the world can make a bad route a proper route, and an awful lot of bad routes are being sold. Their end product is further slavery, more darkness, more misery. I'd say it's evolved quite a bit. We've stopped slavery in most places. There's still places that have it. There's darkness and misery, especially in North Korea. But everywhere else, it's getting better. We're creating bad routes and good routes. The bad routes are made by the con artists like you. The good routes are made by the group evolving shit. I know we covered either a policy letter or a bulletin somewhere talking about how group, what was it called? Group agreement? Something along those lines. Basically saying that group work is bad. And it's better when an individual person creates it. I don't know. Scientology is the only workable system man has. No, it's not. It's already taken people toward higher IQ, prove it, better lives, subjective, and all that. No other system has. So realize that it has no competitor. Scientology is a workable system. It has the route taped, the search is done, now the route only needs to be walked. So put the feet of students and pre-clears on that route. Don't let them off of it, no matter how fascinating the side roads seem to them, and move them on up and out. Squirreling is today destructive of a workable system. Don't let your party down. By whatever means, keep them on the route, and they'll be free. If you don't, they won't. Alright, let's look at course completion student indicators from the HCO policy letter of the 19th of October, 1968. When a student has finished a course, he should want the next course in training. If not, out tech or out ethics or both. Just as a PC's good indicators should be in wanting next levels of auditing, so should a student's good indicators be in wanting next levels of training. If this is not the case, something missed by the supervisor or student, or both the supervisor and the student. So if a student doesn't have good indicators, if they don't want the next level of auditing or they don't want the next level of training, something's wrong with either the supervisor or the student. Again, they're putting the blame on you if you don't want it. If you don't want it, what happened? Study slowness. All right, let's get this one. This should be the last one before we end the video. Maybe this one and the second one. But study slowness, the bulletin of the 19th of September, 1969. If your course is not progressing rapidly for the class, it's highly probable that the training rules and policies laid down in the course supervisor's course at the HDG. I don't know what the HDG is. So let's look up HDG. Hidden data line. HGA. HDG. Hubbard Dianetic Graduate. And policies laid down in the case supervisor's course are not being followed exactly. If your own progress is too slow to suit you, or if even on retrain you do not feel you're making it, consult with your supervisor and specifically ask him to make sure that all his course supervisor data is being applied. Slowness could only happen if you're passing over words without understanding them, or if you're letting other students or people interpret data for you rather than taking exactly what it says on the bulletins. Interpretation is fine. You don't need to do it by the book, by the policy, by the bulletin. Or it may be you do not have your own materials, or you need a Scientology review and what they call a Remedy A or a Remedy B to clean up the subject of study. Dianetics and Scientology were entered into a world where the technology of study itself was poor and had to be developed in order to teach a precision subject. The study tech is vital and valid. In one mass experiment, the following, given for illustration here, occurred. A class of 15 on Dianetics taught with all course supervisor policy fully applied. The students not pre-selected for aptitude, 7 had attained full Hubbard Dianetic graduate with all auditing well dones and very well dones in just under 3 weeks. The remainder were mixed out with a part-time Dianetics class, 3.5 hours of study a day, of over 100 people. In the following 3 months, only 2 had graduated. Most of the remainder were only on their first time through at the end of 3 months. A vigorous survey of the class was made, and it was found that all the things given as vital to be done regarding study were not being done, and all the things that were not supposed to be done were being done. A qualified course supervisor and staff were placed in charge, and the large course began to graduate 3 a day almost at once. From this, you can see that there's a great deal of value in the study tech of Dianetics and Scientology. Do not let your class or yourself get slowed by an out-policy course. Good luck. Alright, sure, Hubbard, you weirdo. Hidden data line. Alright, we'll start that one in the next video. So we got the hidden data line, out tech, how to defeat verbal tech penalties, and then we're done. We've got definitions for student hat. So we'll take a look at those at the end of that. But one video left. One. So this series is going to be 10 videos. I'm glad I finally have a number on that. I can't wait to finish this and start the next thing. I'm really excited. But anyway. Like if you like the video, dislike it if you don't. Comment with any feedback or questions you have, good, bad, or sideways. And subscribe if you want to be kept up to date on future content. I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.